At the beginning of the movie, a terrified woman is bound by her husband. In an effort to prevent her from speaking, he covers her face with an iron mask and parades her through the streets. The woman told her husband that it was inappropriate after she saw him spy on his daughter in the shower earlier in the day. He tells her it is God's will and slaps her instead of agreeing with her. He then takes off his belt and starts beating her with it. From the bathroom, we see the young girl watching as her father viciously attacks her mother. In the stables, the father continues to whip her later that day. When the mother comes to see her daughter asleep that evening, she gives her a hug and she cries about the bad situation she's in. Her girl is extremely youthful and thinks her mom is feeble and ought to simply leave. Her mother is taken to church the following day wearing an iron mask while everyone watches. It turns out that the priest is her father, and he tells everyone who comes to worship that a woman's job is to serve a man and that they should do everything in their power to please him. Liz is embarrassed about her mom and murmurs to her that she feels frustrated about her. Unable to take the humiliation any longer, her mother starts to cry and walks off. We then see her suddenly hanging from the ceiling. As Liz pivots, she sees her mom dead and goes into shock. When the father sees this, he gets very angry and starts cursing at his dead wife. He yells that his wife will never go to heaven and will have to pay the price in hell for what she did. The father's aggressive behavior continues over the next few days. He wakes up his daughter one early morning and tells her that she needs to go to church with him. At the point when they arrive, she is sickened to discover that her dad needs to wed her. She starts to frenzy and makes a run for it. To stop her from screaming, her father grabs her quickly and covers her face with an iron mask. He drags Liz through the mud in the fields next, completely humiliating her. He takes off her clothes when they get home and starts whipping her while she stands there in pain. After that, he continues to stroke her neck, and later that night, he uses her advantage. Liz manages to get away later that evening while her father is asleep, leaving behind bloodstained bedsheets. After years of abuse from her father, Liz is finally free. She and her mother endured years of abuse and were constantly concerned about when they would be attacked again. She finally collapses from exhaustion while fleeing. She wakes up thinking she has finally escaped her father's clutches after being picked up by a traveler. She is horrified to learn that she has been taken captive by a man who trades women. She sees a lot of other women when he takes her to a brothel. Every one of the women are spruced up and are seen conversing with various men. One night, she hears clearly clamors coming from one of the rooms and peeps in. She is embarrassed by what she sees. The following day in the bar, the room is loaded up with paying clients in. One man specifically begins focusing on her. He offers huge amount of cash for and just at the point when she fears just terrible. Another whore acts the hero. She tells him she will do anything he wants to get his attention. The man insists that Liz join him even though the plan doesn't work out as planned. Liz is made to watch while the man continues on ahead. When Liz sees the man getting irate and slapping the woman, she becomes extremely scared and grabs a gun. The man moves toward her and obviously needs her. Similarly, as he is going to make use, we see him tumble to the floor. The whore shoots him in the head from behind to safeguard Liz. The prostitute is then shown being hanged in front of an incredulous crowd. Later, Liz weeps on her bed because she believes she is to blame for the woman's death. We see the manager enter, and he tells her that no woman is above the law no matter what. This is the way of the world. We then, at that point, see him moving toward Liz and advising her that she wants to become accustomed to the way things work around here quick. He continues in stroking her neck, which makes her restless. She understands she doesn't have a lot of decision and does as he inquires. In the following scene, Liz demonstrates that she has matured and accepted her new life as a prostitute. When one of the women disappoints a customer that night, the manager teaches her a lesson by cutting her tongue while Liz stands in horror. She is reminded of how her father abused her mother by it. Later, we see Liz sitting down with the prostitute and trying to learn sign language. Liz feels very guilty and tries to help the prostitute as much as she can. She tries to find a way out for herself and someone to marry her with. Her plans work, and she gets the go-ahead to marry an elderly man who has a child in the past. When she intends to flee one evening, the brothel manager informs everyone that they must all be washed and dressed for a very special guest. When Liz goes downstairs that evening to meet the new customer, she sees her father sitting there and gets sick to her stomach. Her father searched for her for many years before finally finding her. She trembles in fear as he strokes her back and reveals 2 moles she had from birth, confirming that she is his daughter. He quickly takes her to a room higher up and gets her by the face. He tells her that she is his and will do precisely exact thing he inquires. He starts beating her when she refuses. The other whore hears her shouts and comes running into the room. As she is defied by Liz's dad, she blows up and cuts him across the face. Liz looks on in shock as the priest stabs her because of his rage. Liz is terrified beyond belief, unsure of what to do, and concerned about what her father will do next. She grabs a knife and cuts him across the neck as he approaches her. He collapses to the ground, gasping for air. Liz quickly hands him the knife and places a lamp on the prostitute's decomposing body. She flees and decides to wed the elderly man who was supposed to marry the prostitute. She cuts out her own tongue later, making everyone think she's a prostitute. After she weds the elderly man, she lives a normal life and is content for many years. She learns one day while attending church that a brand new reverend will be leading the service. She is horrified to see her father standing there when she looks up. Liz can't believe her eyes when she discovers that her father is still alive in some way. Her father kills her husband one evening while Liz is inside the house. Liz escapes with her 2 children late at night on a horse and cart while her house burns down because she is afraid for her life. The temperature is below freezing, and there is a lot of fog. Their cart becomes stuck in the snow as they travel through the forest, prompting her son to investigate. Her father is seen hiding in the trees and shooting her son dead out of nowhere. Liz is totally crushed, however must choose the option to go on with her excursion with her little girl. She tells her father-in-law that her son has died when they get to his house, and he breaks down in tears. She informs him that the Reverend is on his way, and since they have no time to waste, they prepare all of their weapons and ammunition and wait for him. He suddenly appears as they begin firing at each other that evening, while Liz watches. Liz quickly enters to check on her sleeping daughter. At the point when she pivots, she is stunned to find her father by marriage dead holding tight the wall. Liz rushes to pick up her daughter and tries to get out of the house as soon as she can, but her father catches them and ties them up. He ties her up and begins whipping her after telling her that he will do the same things to her daughter as he did to her. Liz is unable to observe her daughter's screams for assistance. Liz breaks her arm and breaks free just as her father is about to exploit her daughter. Liz burns her father with a paraffin lamp when her father turns around. He was then killed when she shot him in the chest with a gun, sending him flying through the windows. In a little while, another sheriff shows up in the neighborhood and Liz is captured for the killing of her dad. She looks back at her daughter as the sheriff takes her away. Knowing that she will be fine without her, she falls backwards into the river and kills herself. The movie ends because Liz was unable to endure the suffering and pain any longer.